Traders from Ghana went to Burkina Faso to buy tomatoes, and they were ambushed in a village where they were transacting, and armed insurgents, terrorists, armed groups attacked, and unfortunately we lost a number of our compatriots. Happily, there are few survivors, and so the Ghana army is arranging to medevac them from Burkina Faso, so that those who are injured can continue to receive treatment here in Ghana.
I think it's targeted, and I also think government should begin to assess its actions. If government had asked me whether it was a good decision to invite Captain Traore to the inauguration of Arab said no, because of the fact that he's not democratically elected, he was under sanctions, and also that some people, some of his enemies will read it as if you are a friend to their enemy. And I think that we should be looking at these things from a wider perspective. And if we are seen to be too close to people who others hate, they may extend their hatred to us.
Well, so this has happened. Many have said that we've always monitored our borders closely. When you were defense minister, military deployed, stationed there permanently. Does it tell us that this is closer to home than we envisioned? It's always been closer to us than we envisioned. What we did was, in the short while, to do what we call Conquer Fist, Operation Conquer Fist. So we did put in over 500 soldiers in Operation Conquer Fist, and so for the 8 years they were in around the border towns to make sure that they interact with the people. The national security through the Ministry of Defense and others also put in the if you see something, say something, just to make sure that the ordinary Ghanaian know what is going on. And so if they see something, they will say it. And we arrested so many people and repatriated them, especially to Togo and Burkina, northern Togo and then southern Burkina. Two, we also decided to start building forward operating bases. That is to permanently allow soldiers to stay. Well, the first thing we did was to expand the Bazua military barracks. So we expanded it around Boko there and put in a lot of soldiers. Then we also did the same for the Wa1. We also established a base now in Bolga and another in Sandema. So if you go and see the structures we built in Sandema, very huge. I was expecting that within the first 1 year, this government will complete it and put the regiment there. We were building 12 forward operating bases across the border towns to be able to protect us. Unfortunately, since we lost election, the government has not put in any resources, so work has come to a standstill. There is no work there. But like I said, it was the Operation Conquer Fist was just a short-time measure. The long-time measure was the forward operating bases that soldiers were supposed to move in there. So we put in every effort to ensure that we don't have the sort of things that are happening. So if you ask me whether we are closer to it, of course I would say we are closer to it. Because since 2012, the southern drift of the terrorist attack has been very dramatic. It's been huge and it's always been coming. We had to literally stop it in 2017 by forming the Accra Initiative, if you remember the Accra Initiative. So we did the Accra Initiative with our neighbors. So we're having a lot of intelligence with Burkinabes, with the Nigerians, with the Malians, with the Ivorians, and with the Togolese, except Nigeria, with the Beninois. We're having a lot of intelligence with them. So there was nothing that will happen in their country and they will not inform us, or it will happen in Ghana, we will not share intelligence with them. So if you were a terrorist and you thought that you could cross into Ghana and commit a crime and go, we would arrest you and send you back. And we're doing that across completely with them. I don't know what this government is doing after they have decided to hold on with moving on with the Accra Initiative, moving on with the Operation Conquer Fist, and also not completing the FOBs. I really don't know what it is, but I think that whatever it is, the government should first immediately appoint a Minister for Defense. And I was coming to that. You mentioned that the Minister of Defense ought to have been in Burkina by now. We don't have one, do we?
Unfortunately, we don't have a minister for defense. And I've been calling for the president to do that. And he's not done that. Nobody can force him. He's the president. But I think it's a mistake for him not to have appointed a minister for defense. He should have appointed a minister for defense by this time. And that minister would have been in Burkina by now, immediately, to find out with his team. Remember that the mandate of Mutaka ends at Paga. It doesn't go into Burkina. It is the minister for defense who is expected to liaise with his counterpart in Burkina. It's the soldiers there who are fighting the terrorist war, not the agencies under the Minister of Interior. So when Mutaka says, "Oh, I'm consulting my counterpart," he's just telling us things that will make all of us happy. But the real truth is that the Minister for Defense there and the security agencies there, in terms of national security, they are really in charge. They give the intelligence and the soldiers do the fighting. So these are the people who should have been contacted first. So our Minister for Defense should have gone to Burkina immediately with his team. Very powerful team. We haven't had this type of terrorist deaths before. So we should take it as a serious matter. So that one, we find out what happened. And two, we should make sure that it doesn't happen again. And three, we can advise Ghanaian traders. Unfortunately, we don't have the tomatoes in Ghana that our people like more. They want the Burkina type because they say it's firmer, it can stay longer, and gives them more resources. So to stop our Ghanaian traders from going there, it's something that we may not be able to stop them. So what do? It is for us to protect them. And unfortunately, the government is not doing enough for them. That's my view about it. We cannot just send in soldiers to another country just like that.
Mahama should have never invited Ibrahim Traore to Ghana. And who is saying this? Former defense minister, former minister of defense, and his name is Nitiwul. This is the man we're talking about. He's also the MP for a beautiful part of the northern region called Bimbila. That is the MP. Recently, he was caught into some controversies when Kennedy Japan and his team, during the primaries, accused him of tribalism. He spoke to his people in Komba, talking to them never to vote for Kennedy Japan because he was overly tribalistic and that they should vote for one of their own. Oh yes, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He defended himself and he brought facts in to nullify everything that was thrown at him in the name of accusation and allegation.
Right. Welcome back, family, from wherever you are watching from. This story is so touchable, so touching. What I know is that if you are a truly believer of Africa's unity, Africa's independence, African sovereignty and everything, then you cannot believe in democracy. You cannot believe in democracy if you do really believe that Africa needs to be liberated. Then why am I saying this? Because of what the Ghanaian former interior minister has tried to speak about about democracy in Ibrahim Traore and all these military leaders. Because first of all, he started to blame the Ghanaian president of inviting Ibrahim Traore to his inauguration ceremony, yet he was a democratic leader, just a military leader who came to the power through coup. When you see any person speaking like this or addressing the world or the people like this kind of comments, first thing you have to know is that these are the enemy to the progress of African continent. We don't decline the fact that Ghanaians were attacked in Burkina Faso, and 11 of them were shot dead. That is what happened. But now, here's the questions. Why are they being attacked today? Because this minister has clearly said that because of glorifying Burkina Faso's president, because of the Ghanaian glorifying Burkina Faso's president, that is what is making them to be attacked. Because of them coming to partner or to show interest of partnering with Burkina Faso and Sahel leaders, this is making them to lose the best partners, to lose friends, because the other people, all the world is viewing them as the enemy of the progress of the world, because they are partnering with the leaders whom other leaders across the world are not partnering with. They hate them. All the African leaders who calls themselves a democratic leader, they hate the Sahel leaders. Why? Because they are military leaders. Because they call them undemocratic leaders. They came through the power without a undemocratic, unprecedented, without following the protocols and the process of how election should be conducted, and maybe citizens electing their leaders. And that's not the problem. Because according to me, and many of the Africans, because I know well that I'm speaking on behalf of thousands and millions of Africans and the black people in general, because not only in Africa I've seen people coming out to celebrate Ibrahim Traore, not only in Africa, but even in diaspora, in Canada, in Germany, in France, we have seen people coming out celebrate the victory, to celebrate the best governance and leadership of Ibrahim Traore. So who are you to come and tell us that this person is bad? We don't have to call out his name. We don't have to speak out what he's doing. We don't have to support what he's coming out to do in order to make sure that Africa is liberated. So the Ghanaian president, what you have tried to do is something that I believe that this is not what we as Africans believe in. This is not what we believe in. So, my good people, when we sit here to discuss Africa's matters, African matters is wider. It's wider, that is very critical and hard to challenge if you don't allow a clearly understand what is happening across the globe. Because most of the people today who are coming out to fight against these regimes of the military leaders, these are the people who are not supporting the development of Africa. These are the people who are not believing in Africa's vision, Africa's unity, Africa's development, and what other leaders are doing in order to make sure that Africans are getting what they deserve, and we are fighting against the imperials. Let me first ask you this question. Do you believe that Ibrahim Traore can plan, or a Traore's government can plan just to kill the Ghanaian people? These are the terrorists who are, maybe I can say that, who are being used by the system to come and interfere with this relationship between Burkina Faso and Ghana, because Ghanaian President John Mahama is the only person, is the one among the leaders whom I've tried to see going in Burkina Faso, making several dialogues, discussing on how they can partner, how they can work together, and how they can strengthen their relationship in fighting against the imperials, in fighting against the criminals, against the terrorists. Because what is happening in the border between Burkina Faso and Ghana is not only affecting the country of Ghana or of Burkina Faso, but if they can sit down and allow it to continue to happen, it will continue affecting the entire Sahel region. It will continue to affect both the country of Ghana and Burkina Faso. So, Burkina Faso president has never came out even a single day to criticize all that Africans are doing, or African leaders are doing, even of those leaders who are against him. But when he speaks out, whenever he comes out to address the nations, he's addressing the issues that is affecting the continent, but not the Burkina Faso alone. So this is one of the African leaders who is doing so great to make sure that Africa is liberated. Africa needs to get the best governance in the countries. Africa's fight against the imperials, and we make sure that we resist the neo-colonization and make sure that Africa is going in a safe direction, in the right direction, whereby each and every person will benefit from what the leaders are doing. So how comes today that Burkina Faso president can plan against the shooting of the Ghanaian people in the country of Burkina Faso? And here's another question. How did these military leaders knew that? How these people from Burkina Faso knew that these are the Ghanaians, so we have to shoot them? That's the question that sometimes we need to ask before coming out with the conclusion and judging something. Because what's happening, these are the part of the plans on how to interfere with what Sahel is doing. Because not everyone is supporting what Sahel is doing. We know, for those people who are believing that Sahel is doing something, Sahel is there to give directions on how Africa should be governed. We know well that they are giving us the best example on what and how best leadership is. They're giving us example. So today we cannot just come out and say that France or Burkina Faso is against Ghana, because today the tension is rising. The tension is rising, and this is going to make an enmity between Ghana and Burkina Faso if these leaders cannot agree in one in one agreement. Because what this CS is saying is that Burkina Faso president will not be allowed, should be banned not to travel or to access the country of Ghana. We cannot continue doing something like this. We can no longer continue living this kind of life. This is the kind of the life that our imperialists set for the Africans to live, limiting Africans not even to access to travel across Africa. This is what this is one of their plans. So we cannot be living in our continent to support their plans, because this is one of the ways that they are using to make sure that Africa does not rise. Africa doesn't rise. Africa does not develop, and Africa not come together to speak one agenda, the agenda of unity. So it's the time that we as Africans, we are not going to follow what the politicians are telling us. You are not, you are as a Ghanaian, you as a Burkinabe, you don't have to sit down and listen to your politicians who are not speaking something that you know well that is not of building, but is of destruction. There are some people who are not interested in Africa's unity agenda. So it is our matter, it is upon us as Africans to make sure that we are going to make sure that this agenda has been approved and is working. Africa must unite to avoid all this that's happening across Africa. Terrorism is high. So it is upon us to fight for this, and no one else to come to fight for this. Let me leave you with this comment or with this question. Do you believe that Burkinabe government can plan attack against Ghanaian people in the Burkina Faso who are only traders, just doing their businesses, just to make sure that they work on their daily income? I don't agree with this. Let me have your views in the comment section. What do you think about this video? Continue subscribing to the Kenyan Explorer, to the Black History here, where we uncover the hidden truth. You are doing great by tuning in this channel. I do really appreciate you by coming here each and every day. You are the one making me to come each and every day to find something to react on, so that we can continue discussing the matters that is affecting the African continent, because we're here to protect the motherland. For you sending me super thanks, I do really appreciate. You are doing great, and continue doing this to make us continue moving, and be blessed.